it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn bad. Gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything in front of me. Might smoke bed in heaven, got a whole agenda. Can't aspire to get ahead, so bump that, it's no surrender. Got a dollar flipped up, I'm trying to get it in FT to get them when they're hand and crypto. Learn how to fix that. I don't really hold out of books, but I'ma learn how to fix that. Some opportunities are never come unless you paying attention, so no, I can't miss that. Moving, MVP, I got the record, I might have to prove something. Big jumper worthy, they gon' have to retire my jersey early. Whole crew coming, had to work something, cause I had nothing in my pocket, yeah, I did all that. Big plans, partners trying to make profits, yeah, I did all that. Work, sweat, and tears breaking, even no wins, yeah, I did all that. Had to make it happen, putting hours in my practice, I did all that, yeah. I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs, I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah. I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs, yeah. I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah. Run it, ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my big dog, walking big talk, young veteran, living legend, bet I'm better than them. This is my ship, I'ma jack it like Letterman, y'all but not let them in. They gon' rotate this, so I keep the pedaling, started a chain. The cycle is heaven sent, this is from God, but I'm not your reverend, not in the pulpit. I'm a pit bull in this element, yeah. Said you gon' pull up, then settle it, yeah. I've been married to this hustle, this is my ring, watch I step in it, yeah. And I ain't even got a yard, but I'ma get it here. Watch how I touch down, pulling plans out the clutch. Everybody getting crushed, the cut down is for us now. Have to work something, cause I had nothing in my pocket, yeah, I did all that. Big plans, partners trying to make profits, yeah, I did all that. Work, sweat, and tears breaking, even no wins, yeah, I did all that. Had to make it happen, putting hours in my practice, I did all that, yeah. I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs, I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah. I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs, yeah. I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah. Run it, ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my, yeah.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here, once in a while at 2:21 p.m. What is going on, Mafia? Bitcoin getting a hard bounce to the upside. And I said last night on the live stream, if something happens, I'll keep you guys updated here, even if we have to go live a little bit earlier. I actually, guys, I filmed the market update that you'd be watching right now. If, while I was recording that, I turned my face camera to my screen camera. I recorded that whole video, and it was just me like, look at the, on this camera, just look at this, look at that, and I just had no chart up. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. We're going live. We gotta get the information to the CandleMafia. We gotta dish out that sauce. But shout out to Chris and Melly, got the chat hidden. I can only imagine what that said. Shout out to you, man. Unbelievable. But anyway, guys, we got the hard bounce from the point of control 786 anchored VWAP, and more importantly, the daily naked point of control. And we got that 4-hour green dot with that 15-minute money flow crossover. If you guys tuned into last night's live stream, you will know we did have the 90-minute money flow coming to the downside with the daily red dot indicating a potential bounce for a lower high and a lower low. But if we were able to break that 786 that we were looking at around $107,350, it would indicate a potential breakout for a continuation of the uptrend, cracking the high at $108,770, which we literally just did. So I want to cover the price action with you guys, kind of show you how we were able to anticipate at least the move up, although looking for the lower high at 107K. What happens? We flipped. We kind of just disrespected the heck out of that resistance, to be honest. We broke right through that, flipped that 786 to support, and then boom, we got that big move to the upside. But that 15-minute money flow crossover with the 4-hour green dot was able to indicate that continuation to the upside. So I want to break that down for you guys, show you it, and kind of show you guys how you can potentially predict these moves before they happen. Even if you are looking for a lower high and you break out, right, you could assess that information as you come into that retracement level. So we're going to break it all down for you guys. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. We got Ahmed in the chat. What is going on? We got Jesse in the chat. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys, if you appreciate these early live streams, this early sauce. Smash that like button. We are going to be doing giveaways on Friday. If we hit, I don't know what we could expect on a random live stream like this, but if we get 550 likes, we'll add some extra crypto or maybe some Frankie Candles hats to the giveaway on Friday. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. We got Tatty Crow in the chat. Welcome in, bro. He said, hi, all. My 72-year-old mom asked me how to buy Bitcoin today. Time to sell. Shout out to Teddy Crow. Good Lord. Well, as you guys know, overall, I have been long-term bullish on Bitcoin, looking for a potential breakout into all-time highs. Are we about to see that right now? I'm going to break down the charts for you guys. Is this the breakout that we needed? Is there still potential for a pushback down? I'm going to break down all the key levels and what I'm expecting next year on Bitcoin. So shout out to Smokin' Reg. Shout out to V-Sun. Shout out to Keith. Shout out to Steve. Shout out to Base Bailey, Warren G, and last but not least, Perry. Let's go. He says, Frankie, do we get tonight another stream? Yeah, shout out to Perry. We're still live at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. This is going to be a quick stream. I just want to do a quick little market update. Like I said, I was going to drop that like 10-minute market update, but I never pulled up my screen, so I pulled it in to edit it, and I was like, sick. At Tony D, let's go live. So let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so here we are with the beautiful bounce here at the point of control daily MPOC. And I want to break down like really what happened down here, because if you guys remember last night on the live stream, we were looking for a potential hold of that daily MPOC, actually not really liking any of the lackluster confirmations that we had on the way down, which is very important, guys. It's so important to wait, for good entry confirmations and taps of key levels, because you could see like almost every other bounce to the upside was lackluster for a lower high and a lower low. But then eventually we did wind up getting that 30-minute bull div. Of course, late at night, as you guys know, last night I was not feeling great. I tried to do a short stream, wound up not doing that, but I did hop right off the computer as soon as I ended the live stream, tried to get to bed early, and I don't know what it is, guys. This is like the third long position in a row. I keep catching the shorts, but for some reason, I just keep leaving the chart as soon as the long position set up. It's almost like Bitcoin's watching me. It's like, you're only going to short me, bro. If you want to short me, you're not catching those longs to the upside. But we did have the long setup here. I'm actually going to break down the setup I had in the Discord to kind of show you guys how I find these setups and what I look for, just to show you like how it plays out. Not to brag, right? It's nothing to do with bragging. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about not seeing a lower high here, which was an anticipation yesterday. So we'll talk about that. But I do want to kind of talk about the long setup here, like why I was looking at this as a key level of support, and the specific entry confirmations that we were looking for, that we got down here, that we were looking for all the way as price was sitting up here in anticipation of the continuation down. So first off, 1 hour money flow crossover. You guys know this. If you watched the past couple of days, we look for that 1 hour money flow crossover into the red with our 16-hour red dot printing. That did indicate that we were likely to get a continuation down of lower highs and lower lows. I did take that short position up here. We got that ride down to the point of control, which obviously we were looking at as support. And then we had our next long setup, which this was kind of the bottom of the zone. We had two little local zones that we were looking at. One up here at the golden pocket. I'll actually pull that up for you guys right now so you can actually see what we were looking at. Right, you have the golden pocket down here where we were looking for a potential swing failure pattern, a little bounce to the upside. We actually did get that, but with the money flow continuing down, it was looked at as a scalp until proven otherwise. And we did get that continuation down into the point of control. Maybe, I actually think I have that. I was talking about it in the market update. I think I might have it still. Yeah, I do still have it pulled up here. So this was the long setup that we were looking at. Obviously, all the way up here, took that short position in anticipation of seeing that point of control hit, right? With specifically 30-minute bullish divergences. You guys can see here, looking for 30-minute bull divs. I'd like to see bull divs on the 30-minute and down, meaning down to the lower time frames with money flow coming up into our first zone, which technically I do typically set these up as separate entry zones. I'll look for a first entry here. If we don't get it, I just simply wait for that second level. Like I said, we actually did get an SFP here, but because of money flow, it wasn't looked at. It was very unlikely that it was going to be the big bounce. And then the second entry obviously was going to be down towards the 786. Daily MPOC looking for those 30-minute bull divs. And as you guys can see here, I don't have the golden pocket highlighted on the chart anymore, but it was really, this was kind of the big zone, right? We lose the golden pocket, you look to come down to the 786, and you get those beautiful 30-minute bullish divergences. You have the lower lows on your price action, the higher lows on your momentum waves, and you finally tap that daily MPOC, because last night, right, we were talking about, well, hey, not a ton of entry confirmations as we were, bing-bonging around on this point of control. It's like, I don't really see any, like, significant bullish divergences or anything, right? But what happens? We end that stream, and we also had the key level of the daily MPOC down here, and more often than not 100% of the time, guys. Sometimes you'll just front run that daily MPOC and go. But more often than not, when you have a key target down below and you don't have a ton of beautiful entry confirmations at the first level, it could mean that you're going to come down more often than not and tap that key level of support to finally put in those confirmations. And what happens? You put in that bull div, you get the bounce, you reclaim 786, you reclaim the anchored VWAP, and you get that push to the upside. Now, something I want to cover with you guys is we did have some mixed signals on Market Cypher B yesterday, because we did have the daily red dot with the 90-minute money flow coming out, potentially making it possible for a lackluster retracement to the upside. Now, this was obviously in the context of not having 30-minute bull divs. If we had just gotten that bounce without the 30-minute bull div coming in right after the stream, probably would have been much more likely to put the lower high in here. But we did get the 30-minute bull div. We had the key level of resistance here, which was the Fibonacci 786 golden pocket. If we were going to continue the downtrend, this would have been the place to do it at, to see that 90-minute money flow crossover continue that drop to the downside. We got a little bit of a continuation down, but nothing really that crazy, right? 90-minute money flow crosses up, crosses down, right? Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? But, that oftentimes will continue a bigger move to the downside, which made made this kind of a danger zone if you got that bounce without confirmation, right? What happens? We absolutely disrespect this level, and not only are you looking for lower highs here potentially, but you're also looking at this as a potential gateway to a bigger breakout, right? It's exactly what we covered yesterday. If you don't get the lower high to come in at the golden pocket 786 and you flip that to support, that would be a really, really good sign. Sure, you have the value area high above you, but this does invalidate a lower high coming in locally for increasing the chances of getting that bigger rip to the upside. And you can see we hopped on top of that 786 and absolutely exploded to the upside. So absolutely beautiful. And then for that move up, right? Obviously, we got the 30-minute bull div as we were looking for in the Discord. And again, I want to point out, guys, I always talk about how trading is a game of trapping, not a game of chasing or a game of hunting, right? I guess you can consider it a game of hunting, but it's really a game of trapping, right? When we look for that setup in the Discord, right, we're looking for these confirmations way before we even get down here, right? This way, you're sitting there, you have your area of interest on the chart, and you're just sitting there on your hands waiting for the key level to get tapped, and you wait for those confirmations, and when you see those confirmations, that is where you pull the trigger. But if we pull the chart back up here, obviously one thing we were looking at, or the big thing we were looking at on the live stream last night, was that 4-hour green dot, which printed right here, with the 15-minute money flow crossover into the green. The market, same exact technique that we used to indicate the continuation down towards the point of control. There was a little bit of volume profile theory that went into that as well. But 1-hour money flow crosses into the red, you look for the continuation down to your key level, and then that 15-minute money flow crossover with your 4-hour green dot. A lower time frame bullish market setup would be 116 setup, but still a 116 setup at the end of the day, right? And that 15-minute money flow crossover indicates the very likely continuation up into your next key level of resistance, which is that 107 to 107.3 level. And then we flipped that 786. At that point, continuation to the upside. And here we are sitting currently at about $109,284. Now, obviously, we are rejecting this daily MPOC. This is a level that we've been looking at on the live stream. We have the daily MPOC as well as our 786 Fibonacci retracement. So we are technically tapping into some resistance. But the question here is, are we going to get the lower high for a bigger drop to the downside, or are we just going to continue up here? Now, if you guys watch at all, right, you will know my longer term bias here for Bitcoin has been bullish, pretty much through the whole bull run, right? Like any big drop to the downside is looked at as a higher low and a higher high. We saw that happen down here at 75K. And we've been looking at things like Coinbase, right? We've dropped this. I've done this like 100 times on the live stream recently. We pull up Coinbase, drop it onto the Bitcoin chart. Let me pin it to a different scale here. Bada boom, right? I'll just hide the TA real quick. And you guys can see here, right, Coinbase was in a very, very similar situation with those with the downtrend here. We had the lower highs, lower lows. You break out of that trend line. I'm not going to draw it because all the other TA is going to pop up, but you kind of get this like bull flag set up before getting the bigger break to highs, right? And Bitcoin kind of mirroring that same price action. Was Coinbase front running this? It still could be the case, right? And it would be very, very nice because as we approach, let me get this off the chart now, as we approach our key trend line here, which is obviously, I am not a huge trend line guy, as you guys know. But, we do have this major trend line. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I think it's in here. Yeah. So you do have this trend line, and you can see we are starting to poke our head out of the ground here. So obviously coming up to resistance, let me get rid of this second box here. You are pushing into the 786 daily MPOC. Now, this is technically the last 786 for a lower high, right? We look for the local lower high down here, but when pulled from the all-time high all the way to the low, you have the 786 sitting here at about 109,000 all the way up to the daily MPOC at 109.5. That was our last real big key level of resistance, because if you're going to continue, right, if we wind up rejecting this 786, it is an area where the macro lower high could come in potentially. That could call for a break of structure to the downside here. Now, again, I'm not necessarily anticipating this. If you guys watch, right, obviously we had the first key level here, right? As we were ping-ponging up here, we were saying like, hey, if we reject here, you could come break the low. But for the most part, this low on the sweep of $100,000 looks good to me. And we are going to be looking for higher lows here. And if not here, lose the POC, we're going to be looking for that higher low at the value area low. And maybe we don't have to deal with this. Hopefully we don't, right? But overall, this volume profile is still going to remain, valid underneath us, right? We're starting to break out, but if you do come back down, key level of support to look at is going to be the value area high at call it $108,000, $107,915. If you get stuck back under here, then you could start saying, well, hey, maybe we're getting stuck inside the volume profile, and then the doorway to the POC becomes open again. If you lose that, you might be able to take out 105K to come down to this bigger support zone. But right now, I will say, important resistance, but just like that local 786 here was the key level to put a lower high in at, but also the doorway to higher prices, right? flip that 786, look for the breakout, right? It's the same thing up here, right? If we could hold above that 786, and again, we're also above that trend line, which has obviously been knocking us down for quite some time, right? This trend line's not going to last forever. So, if we could remain generally above this 786 and this trend line, it would make it higher probability, right? The opportunity to get that bigger breakout is in the cards. Could it bring us into all-time highs? When we look at Coinbase, when we look at the stock market making new all-time highs, it would make sense. For some reason, Bitcoin kind of lagging behind that stuff. But, the only other level above us is going to be sitting at the daily MPOC at about $110,900, right? There's no Fibonacci levels up there. It's just this lonesome daily MPOC. So this is really the biggest level of resistance. So stay above this, stay above the trend line, right? This is the last level. At the end of the day, could you get like some kind of a big liquidity sweep up here? Okay. We're getting hacked here, guys. But, could you come up for some kind of liquidity sweep up there before another move down? Yes. But again, based off my overall context, I would be very careful shorting up there, right? So yeah, this is the level, guys. This is 100% the level. Very nice to see that aggressive higher low come in on that anchored VWAP POC 786 daily naked point of control. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. So if we take a look at Market Cipher B, you can see, obviously, the daily red dot got an instant VWAP flip here. Printed the red dot yesterday with the 90-minute money flow coming out, right? And then as we approach that 786, we push up, and you get that instant green dot. 90-minute money flow is also attempting to come back to the upside as well. So, could you see turbulence up here? Absolutely. But if we can get that 90-minute money flow to continue into the green, it could indicate the continuation to the upside. If we come down to the 16-hour, you guys can see here we also have a green dot printing, 12-hour green dot printing as well. If we take a look at the 1-hour money flow, you can see this is starting to work its way up as well. Remember that money flow crossover into the red is how we were able to anticipate the continuation down to the POC. So this is literally like the same kind of setup, but just in the opposite direction, right? So these are just some things we can look at for that potential continuation up. And if you question the reliability of the Market Cipher B116 strategy, just take a look at that 15-minute money flow crossover we looked at yesterday, right? Like literally indicates that continuation to the upside. So that's what I'm going to be looking at for the most part. I'm not going to make this the longest live stream. I'm going to keep going for a little bit longer. But this is just basically what I wanted to cover, right? You can look for the lower high, but you flip that 786, bigger breakout. This is the importance of understanding the market structure, right? And just looking at Fibonacci levels doesn't mean you have to get the lower high, right? At the end of the day, we never know if it's going to come in, right? That's why as you push up there, you have to analyze the price action. This was obviously at 4 a.m., but you analyze the price action, see it interacting. Are you getting the bearish signals? Is it looking bullish, right? 15-minute money flow is flying to the upside. And then again, you have that daily green dot starting to print as well. So very nice to see. Hopefully, we could stay up above this resistance, guys. This would be very, very bullish in my opinion. If we wind up losing the trend line again in a big way, could you bing bong around there before, finally again coming back up and reclaiming? Yes, I would say as of right now, unless we get like a massive move up like soon, I would say, weekly candle closures above this zone would be very, very, very nice to see long term. And don't forget, right, we had that monthly green dot print on our Heikinashi candles. It is now confirmed, right? VWAP coming down there a little bit, but green dot confirmed on the monthly Heikinashi candles with our 2-day money flow still pretty healthily in the green here. So, I don't want to make it sound like we're just going to instantly moon to the upside here. Obviously ebbs and flows are going to be expected. But just to give you guys the context of where we're at, I mean, this is the level to hold in my own personal opinion. So, we'll see if we can hold that trend line, hold that 786. Again, you do have some of the Market Cipher B money flow turning back to the upside. And again, not shocking there, getting that higher low on the expected 786 daily MPOC. Very, very nice to see. This was the more bullish scenario out of our, all three of our bullish scenarios, right? We had the potential higher low here, if not potential higher low there. And then even if we wound up losing that value area low, right, we'd be looking down to 97K. Would that make me overall bearish on Bitcoin? Absolutely not, right? We would just look for a little bit more turbulence. And, obviously longer term, we could have gotten a strong bounce off that $97,000 level. So I can't guarantee that this is totally out of the cards. I would say right now it looks very good. But I'm not looking down to 97K at this point, obviously. But we'll see kind of how price action develops as we get new information on the charts. I'm going to take a quick look at Ethereum today as well. I'll keep an eye on this price action. Maybe we can get a move while we're live here. I don't know. Bitcoin likes to wait. Bitcoin likes to wait until we end the stream to get the moves. So maybe as soon as I sign off, we'll get the bigger move. But yeah, and then just honorable mention here as well. This was also obviously the macro value area high with the daily MPOC just underneath. Massive, massive, massive level of support. Right. Again, we want to make sure that we're not getting accepted into this larger value area or macro volume profile. Right. So this is definitely a level that you would want to hold. And this is nice, right? Like if you get accepted back in here, that's kind of where, $101 to $102,000 comes in. If you don't hold those daily MPOCs / 786 golden pocket retracement, that's where you look down towards 97K. So just to show you the context here of like how nice it is to bounce off this level, right? Many reasons to look at it locally. We have the anchored VWAP, local 786, daily MPOC, and you also have the macro level here at the macro value area high. So I'm going to come into chat real quick, and then we'll take a look at Ethereum in just a second here. Let's see. Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, shout out to Airway. We'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance as well. Shout out to the Rodriguez. Theo Rodriguez says, fondle that like button, guys. We don't care if you headbutt it, touch it with your butt, hit it with your elbow. We literally do not care how you guys do it. We don't judge. Just go ahead and touch that like button. If you do it an odd amount of times. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Base Bailey. Said, Frankie, was I right? No more red allowed. Shout out to Base Bailey. I hope so, guys. Shout out to Base Bailey. That would be very, very nice. Chessie looking for Vegas Claw. Vegas Claw. Somebody get Vegas Claw in here. This is great. Shout out to More Timer Duke. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Chris Mella. Tony, obviously, we don't want to ban him from the chat, but... don't ban him from the chat, but Carissa Mella, I don't even know if I'm saying your name right. Carissa Mella, always got those wild chats. Insane. Shout out to you, bro. Let's see. Value area high of the upper profile. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Shout out to Gen Z. So yeah, I will say this, right? Macro-wise, this 786 is extremely important, right? This is very similar to the situation that we were in. Let me pull up a clean chart here real quick. This is very similar to the situation we were in up here, right? If you guys remember all the way back as we were approaching that level, we had this 786 up here, and it's like we start peaking above it. And, this is nice, right? It's not just like a little push above that we need. You can play around with these 786s, as I mentioned here, right? You might kind of play around with that trend line 786. But really what I wanted to see here was that weekly candle closure, right? So at that point, right, like you start playing around with it, you want that weekly candle closure above. That would have increased the probabilities very likely or very high to get that continuation to the upside, right? But what happens? You get the weekly candle closure below, right? We come up, we get the big rejection, weekly candle closes all the way back there, increasing the likelihood of breaking structure to the downside, which we did get for the lower low. So very similar situation up here, right? So when we look at that overall 786 retracement now pulled to the new low, right? It's like, well, hey, we could play around with this level. Like, it's not just cracking this level right now that is instantly bullish, right? Because you could come back down, play around it, and then close that weekly candle down below. And then at that point, right, the continuation of the downtrend could be likely, right? But on the flip side of that coin, it's like if you can get up here and flip that weekly candle, close that weekly candle above here, just like back here, it would indicate potential new all-time highs coming. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have any resistance above, but I would just say context-wise, this will be a huge level to get above, right? Just like it was back here. Now, if we pull up the upper profile that Gen Z is talking about, let me hide some of this stuff real quick. I'll hide this. I'll even hide the daily MPOCs just for now. I'll hide the macro volume profile. And let me pull up that upper profile here. So we do have a local profile up here as well, pulled from the consolidation that we had back here in May. And you can see, right, value area, we lose the value area, you get back in, flip the value area low to support, POC value area high, deviation above, back in, get rejected, back to the POC, back to the value area low, and we come back up for a rejection of that point of control. You can just see how tactical these levels can be. So yeah, this would be, $110,091. This is, I would say somewhat confluent with that daily MPOC at 111K. But at the end of the day, again, this is not as big of a level, in my opinion, as that 786, right? So this is there. Shout out to Gen Z. This is 100% there. You could look for this. You could look at this for like potentially, shorter term setups. But, let me actually pull up that 786 and see where this pulls up on the current price action. Just pull it roughly from the high to the low here. So yeah, I mean, at that point, right, like maybe, if you come up here and play around here locally, and then we break down and close the weekly candle below the POC 786, that would basically just be the same thing, right, as, trying to get above that 786 and then closing the weekly candle down below. So definitely, a level you could look at locally, but I would just say context-wise, that 786 is going to be super important, especially when you pair it with the trend line, right? So the goal here would be to stay above the trend line, stay above the 786. If we keep playing, if we keep pushing to the upside here, maybe even get the shot up to, at the end of the day, it's not possible to get a continuation up here, deviate above the volume profile, and then reject here. It's really the weekly candle closure as of right now that I would want to see above that 786. And by the way, guys, that does sit at about $109,000, right? 109,050. So yeah, just hope, does that make sense context wise? So yeah, definitely a level up there, but 786 is definitely going to be the big macro level in my opinion. Let's see. Shout out to Doc, says, I'm 20 minutes behind. I'll see you all in the future or the past. Not sure how that works. Shout out to Doc. I couldn't answer that question as well, but shout out to you, man. We'll see you in a little while. Shout out to Carissamella. Anyway, continuing on here. Bada boom. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. Headphones just died at the gym. The whole gym heard Frankie say, fondle that like button. Good Lord, Sly Monkey. Guys, this live stream is unhinged. These earlier live streams get pretty unhinged. Maybe we'll just keep the 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard live stream for the family-friendly stream. And then I guess the afternoon squad is quite quite unhinged. But anyway, I do want to take a quick look at Ethereum here with you guys. We'll keep an eye here on the Bitcoin price action as well as we kind of just bing bong around here in that resistance zone. Taking a look at Ethereum, guys. If you tuned in yesterday, you will know you're looking at this value area low. Reclaiming this value area low would open the door for the next target to the upside to be right here, sitting between 25, call it 2586, 2587, all the way up to the point of control at about 2620. Now, this is obviously just based off volume profile theory, right? You get up here, you try to hold it. Eventually, you do get accepted, making the next likely target that golden pocket POC confluence, right? Now, if, could you get resistance here? Potentially. You do have the 12-hour green dot printing, just like on Bitcoin, 45-minute money flow. Come on. Starting to curve its way to the upside. So if we can get that 45-minute money flow crossover as that 12-hour green dot is printing, it could indicate that you might be able to get a little bit of a continuation up. Doesn't mean you can't reject resistance a little bit, but the overall trend would be to look for higher lows and higher highs, flipping that POC and pushing into the next target. Yesterday, the target here to the upside for Ethereum was sitting right at this purple box, which is where we sit right now. If you flip the same kind of way, right, if you flip the value area low, look to go to the golden pocket POC, flip the POC golden pocket, you're going to be looking to go to the value area high, 786. Very simple. Now, just like on Bitcoin, approaching that macro 786, I would say this is a similar level, right? Not as macro of a fib pull, but, or actually maybe it is. It's somewhat similar, right? But this 786, right, breaking above that 786 would be a very, very good sign of strength to get the bigger breakout, because once you break above that 786, if you're looking for rejections for potential lower lows, right, it would be very likely to happen inside of that zone. Once you flip it to support, it indicates a bigger, higher probability of pushing into the next macro target on Ethereum, sitting between about $3,000 and $3,100, which would be very, very nice to see Ethereum finally start to show its face here in this bull market, as obviously it has been lagging pretty bad, right? Now, speaking of Ethereum and potentially, or not potentially, but other altcoins lagging behind, let's take a quick look at Bitcoin dominance. Taking a look here, right? I would say, not really a ton of new development here on the dominance. Obviously, we're still above the value POC of the range, right? We still do have this bigger target here at about 66.21% at the macro 786. Doesn't guarantee we have to hit it, right? Because if you actually pull this up, this is a very large golden pocket, right? That full zone does sit between this golden pocket and this 786. So, we got a little rejection at that golden pocket. Once we hop back into that value area, that's where you look for the high probability move to the POC. And we are technically above that point of control. But I would say if dominance continues up, 66.21% is still the biggest level to look at. I wouldn't say we're getting any super significant rejections here just yet. But we'll see. Even if we do get a bigger rejection here, you do still have to be careful. You have the point of control underneath you. And when you start to look at this as a volume profile, it's like, well, hey, could we hold that point of control and then come up to the 786 and potentially the value area high? I'm not necessarily anticipating the 68.87% level just yet. We might not even ever see that, right? But I would say, key targets above for dominance if we get another spike is going to be the 66.21%. Once you flip that, I would say the next bigger target's that value area high, right? It goes along with your volume profile theory. Again, doesn't guarantee you have to go up there. I'm not necessarily calling for that. The hope here, right, for alt season to come in sooner than later, and we've talked a lot about how the cycles work, guys. If we could get rate cuts potentially early in July, right? If not, September very likely we'll get rate cuts. This will obviously help the altcoin market. This is the one condition that has not been met this bull market that we've seen in every other bull market that starts that big or gives you those big big rips on altcoins, right? So until we see that, that is where I would expect alt season to come in. But we could kind of try to front run stuff by looking at the dominance chart, right? So, maybe we bing bong around up here, right? But this is really the next big level to the upside, and then to the downside. You really, if you start cracking down here, you really want to decisively lose that point of control. And then underneath that, the value area low becomes key support. But I would say if you get that drop down to the value area low, you might be able to get, once you start losing that range, that is typically where you could potentially see that bigger drop down that you want for alt season, right? You lose that value area low, massive drop down. That is what you want to see for alt season. Not this, not this, not this, not this, right? You need to see the big drop down. So not really a huge update on dominance here. We're just still kind of bing-bonging around up here above the point of control. So there you go. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see. Shout out to DK Insight says, major down, my friends. This happens every time BTC goes up $1,000 to $2,000. Bull market alt season, every YouTuber ever. Yeah, shout out to DK Insight. Yeah, I mean, typically, I am not one of those YouTubers that just call for like instant alt season, right? We just take a look at this. Even back here, right? February was like a highly anticipated month for alt season, but like, what did we see? We see the reclaim of that value area low. Next likely place for price to go is the point of control. But yeah, I mean, that is definitely a decent kind of thought process to have. Typically when everybody wants to go up, that is typically where you get those big corrections down. That's why a lot of times when you guys see me up here when Bitcoin's pumping, it's like, hey guys, like I'm shorting the heck out of this thing, and everyone's like, what the heck is wrong with you? We're pumping. Everyone else is saying up. You have to be contrarian, especially if you're a trader, right? But for me personally, right, like there is no guarantee that we break off into new all-time highs. It has everything to do with the signals on the chart, right? If we hold that 786, it doesn't even guarantee that you see the all-time highs, right? Maybe you get a sweep of liquidity above, and then you close that weekly candle down below, right? It could look good here, just like back here. Like, look good for all-time highs if you could hold that 786 on the weekly, but what happens? You don't hold that 786, right? Weekly candle closures below, that increases the probability of breaking the low down here, and that's exactly what you get, right? So it's all about technical signals for me, never just, feeling bullish or anything like that. Even my longer-term bullish scenario, or my longer-term bullish sentiment is not just based off nothing. It is obviously based off of looking at the SPY making new all-time highs, the NQ making new all-time highs, a lot of the tech stocks, as well as Coinbase, right? Kind of getting the breakout of that same kind of bull flag here. So yeah, never based off just a general gut feeling, right? So yeah, still opportunity to dump here, but I would say like you're definitely at like an extremely key level. So yeah, and then don't forget, right, the longer term kind of scenario that we look at. Let me see if I could pull. Do I still have this chart open potentially? Let me see here. Bada boom. Nope. Whoops. The heck happened? Yeah, let me actually pull this up real quick. So you see that trend line here. Yeah, trend line coming in at about 97K as well. But let me see. Man, I guess did this all get deleted? What the heck is going on here? Well, if you guys remember, right, if you pull up Market Cypher B, I don't know why it's not popping up, but 2-day money flow crossovers, right? Like this is, longer term, even if you get the pull back to 97K, say, if you get the bigger dump to 97K. 2-day money flow crossover, monthly green dot. 2-day money flow crossover, monthly green dot. 2-day money flow crossover, and we did get that monthly green dot to confirm, right? This is in every single leg to the upside. This has come up on Market Cypher, right? Next leg up in the bull market, consolidation. Oh my God, it's the bear market. Frankie, is this the bear market? I personally don't think so. 2-day money flow crossover, monthly green dot. Next leg up, consolidation, big dump down. Oh my God, Frankie, is this the bear market over? No, is this the bear market, bull market over? No, not my opinion. New high to come, right? 2-day money flow crossover. Let's see. Maybe we can get it. Doesn't guarantee it, obviously, but again, based off all the other things I just mentioned, it could be close. And that would, this whole long-term scenario, even if we come down to 97K, and we also do have an honorable mention lower, if you want to talk about the bearish case as well. We do have a $94,000 daily MPOC as well, right? So, maybe if you did get the bigger pullback, you do have also have confluence on this spider line at about $96,000 to $97,000. This obviously trends up over time. So if we were to nuke down in a straight line, that comes closer to 94K. If we spend a little bit more time before getting a bigger pullback, right, that would come in closer to 96.5 to 97K, right? Still an opportunity to hold an uptrend. So yeah, like even if we got a bigger pullback, like still bullish for new all-time highs to come at some point. I do not think the cycle is over. hopefully. I could be wrong about that, but, I'm going to stick to my guns here. We stuck to it down here, saw the new all-time high. Stuck to it down here, saw the new all-time high. But, not impossible to be wrong, but, I just like to show you guys the exact information that I look at. It's never based off of just like, I'm bullish, guys, because price is going up. So yeah, there you go. I would argue that we're probably more bullish when price is going down, and that's why a lot of confusion. People are like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? Dude, we're dumping. Like, why are you bullish? It's like, well, hey, like that's typically where you want to get bullish. And if you pull up the bull market support band, this is something else that I've added to this chart, right? Pulling up the bull market support band, this is typically right on those 2-day money flow crossovers. When you you deviate below that bull market support band, everyone gets scared. Reclaim 2-day money flow crossover, massive move up. Everyone starts getting scared, right? You're below the bull market support band, but cyclically, right? It would be crazy for Bitcoin to put in an all-time high that was only like 50% above its previous all-time high, or 7%, right? It's not even close to 50%. This would be crazy for that to be the all-time high, right? And that's why, it's a lot of things that factor into like remaining bullish down there. But reclaim the bull market support band, 2-day money flow crossover, massive move up. Oh my God, is this the bear market? I don't think so. Reclaim the bull market support band, 2-day money flow crossover, monthly green dot. I mean, it is there. It is there. So we'll see. Hopefully that could play out. And again, obviously this is going to rely a lot on like macroeconomic stuff. If we get the rate cuts, this is obviously going to help this as well. And with it potentially coming in September, and who knows, right? Maybe we get a surprise cut in July. That would be like a really, really, really bullish news event that would probably get this thing kickstarted pretty quickly, right? Now also, and again, this does not mean that if we get a correction from here and we break the low once again, right? Like that does not change that overall theory, right? It depends on how fast that happens. It's impossible for me personally to call that timing based off the charts. Unless you're using something like a time-based fib or something, maybe you can try to call those big moves or the timing of those big moves. But maybe I'll make a video about time-based fibs. But either way, right? You pull back here, like it still doesn't change my longer-term sentiment, right? So when I say I'm bullish, I am bullish long-term. Like this would not change. Big dump down here would not change my sentiment, right? It would just make sense because if you lose that 786, downtrend would likely continue. Just like back here, you expect to break a structure to the downside of the low at 100,300, right? You would expect to break the low here at about $98,000, right? Potentially coming to tap that spider line as well as the other key levels we have on the macro volume profile, and that could still be a good place to put in a bounce, right? It would just be a little bit more brutal, in my opinion. So yeah, not really brutal for me, but brutal for a majority of people in crypto. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see. Shout out to DK Insight said, yes, BTC, but alts won't do jack. Shout out to DK Insight. I mean, not impossible, but if we get rate cuts, I would have to disagree with that for sure. Things can change very quickly. I think a lot of people are exhausted on the pain that altcoins have had, like especially certain ones have been even more brutal than others. But things change very, very, very quickly. Like just look at Ethereum, for example, right? Like everyone's like, oh my God, Ethereum's dead. Ethereum's dead. It's never going back up. This is the last cycle you're ever going to hear about Ethereum. And then like, when people start talking about that, that's when there's 107% pump to the upside. So yeah, we'll see. Is it impossible to have no alt season this cycle? As I always say, nothing's impossible. Maybe it happens, but if you get those rate cuts, very likely. I do think the alt season will be a little bit different, right? Like maybe gone are the days where you could just like throw a dart at the board and just land on any altcoin and it goes up. But I do think you're going to see altcoin. I mean, if Bitcoin makes new all-time highs, and remember, I think another reason why I think a lot of people are losing hope on altcoins is because a lot of people have been overexposed to altcoins from the beginning of the cycle, right? But typically, right, the last move on Bitcoin, that blow off top, right? This is typically where you see the real alt season come in, where everything goes ballistic, right? It's like kind of like the grand finale of the fireworks show. So if we see that happen, just understand. I say this almost every single stream. This is where everyone's going to start calling for $1 million Bitcoin, $500,000 Bitcoin. Is it possible? Sure, but these people come around every single cycle, and they've been wrong every single cycle. Could this time be different? Maybe. But traditionally, that would make a lot of sense, right? For a new all-time high to come in on Bitcoin. Finally, the altcoins finally get their explosion. And then at the end of the day, that's kind of like the bull market wrapping up. I hate to even bring that up. I know that's like taboo. I know that's taboo. But guys, not for the CandleMafia, because if we do wind up topping off and going into that bear market, right? We made tons of money here on the channel shorting this bear market, right? It's just another shorting this bear market, right? It's just another bull run, right, for us, because you can make money on the way down just like you make money on the way up. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. Let's see. But it would be crazy to just like, you could have a strong opinion, right? But I am, I would say self-aware enough, but really I just have enough experience to understand that it doesn't matter like what you think is going to happen, right? I personally think alt season will happen. But, could I be wrong? Absolutely. It'd be crazy to not at least entertain the fact, even if you think it's way lower probability. It'd be crazy to not entertain that as an idea at all. So, yeah, we'll see. Only time will tell. Let's see. Shout out to Zach, said, based on the fact that you're the best. Shout out to Zach. I appreciate you so much, bro. He says, where would you see the next short setup? I will be honest, right? At the end of the day, right? Like, could we reject from here? Yes, but I would be careful, right, with short setups. I would be careful with short setups right now. This would kind of be a situation where I would be a little bit more keen or more likely to wait for some kind of a sign of weakness, right? Rather than trying to catch the knife at the top. Now, if I catch the knife at the top, it would be like a very local entry, right? I'd be like reading the order flow live. There's really no, I would just, at the end of the day, you're at resistance here, right? So it's like, could you come down from here? Yes. But there we are back above that daily MPOC. It's like, it's definitely going to be a little bit more risky because, again, like not only is this your last big key level of resistance from a context standpoint, but also it could be the line in the sand to call for a much bigger move to the upside if we can hold it decisively on higher time frames. So, yeah, I at this point, right, long term, just like we look at here in this overall consolidation of our overall range, right, like the idea ever since sweeping 100K, sure, we look for a potential, we talk about 97K, but that's only if you lose the value area low. The thoughts here is like long the higher lows, and again, just to show, right, we are looking for that in the premium Discord. Unfortunately, yesterday, like the one day, it's literally the same thing. Here, and here I think it was here. Like these last long setups are all just happened right as I get off the live stream, or I don't remember what happened back here. I just didn't. Actually, no, I don't know if it was this move. But like back here, I get off the live stream, and they just set up at the worst time. This is like the third long in a row. Every short I've caught, and then for some reason, the long just like says, it's like Bitcoin knows. It's like I said before, it's like you're shorting me. I'm not going to let you catch those longs. But, it doesn't change the fact that, the theory here, or not theory, but the plan, right, is, higher lows, higher highs. If you lose this, potential higher lows, higher highs. So you could just see like my bias here is to look for longs on higher lows before seeing higher prices, right? Because we have the high time frame money flow, like the 2-day in the green. The sweep of $100,000 was very beautiful as we held the macro anchored VWAP, pulled all the way from the low here at 75K. This was a huge level to hold as support. So it just looked very nice. As we tapped there and got the strong bounce, it's like, well, hey, at this point, guys, even if you get the rejections, potential higher low, potential higher low. It's not until we decisively lose that value area low at $101,000 to $102,000 that I would anticipate a break of structure of the downside into that $97,000 level, which is not here, up here, right? Potentially down there to $90,000 to $91,000, but again, there's other levels that we could bounce off of before I even look down there. So yeah, I would say I would probably be favoring still at this point, right? Higher lows and higher highs. Could you catch shorts up here? Absolutely, right? I would argue that the only thing you could look for up here, like in my opinion, right? For me personally, and this should hopefully this shows like the raw reality of trading, right? Like for me personally, I don't just say this, right? But like if you are not long from a setup down here, right? Like you're kind of too late to the move, right? I say this all the time. It's like, I am very rarely going to look for a long at the top of a green candle like that, even if it continues to the upside, right? Like you got to wait for some kind of retracement for me personally. So, I have to sit on my hands as well. It's not like I never feel that pain. Sometimes I do. But again, it doesn't matter. There's always another opportunity on the chart when it comes to, maybe for spot bags or something, it's a little bit more detrimental to miss a long like that. But like for the shorter term leverage trades like this, it's like, if you miss the long to the upside, right? Miss the long, caught the short, right? Miss the long, you can catch the short, right? Or if you miss the long and the short and the long and the short and the long and the short and the long and the short, you can catch the next long, right? There's always another opportunity on the chart. Chasing the moves after you miss them is, in my opinion, never, ever a good idea. The only time I'll ever long on a big green candle like that is if I'm looking at a lower time frame and looking to trade a breakout. I don't recommend trading breakouts, but when I trade breakouts, I'm looking at volume. I know what to look for, right? It's a little harder to trade breakouts as a beginner trader, in my own personal opinion, because sure, you're trading with the trend, but when you trade with the trend, right? High, low, high, higher low, higher high, right? Even when you're trading within a trend, you're not longing the big green candles, right? You're waiting for the pullback to look for that long setup, even if it is from a very, very, even if from like a local level like this, right? Or even if you have to wait a long time for that setup to present itself, right? It's not like I jump in the Discord and I'm like, that's it, long right here. It's like, well, hey guys, if we come down here and we see those 30-minute bull divs into these key levels, that's where we look for the long position. And it's not all gravy, right? Like I said, there's another entry that we looked for here that only played out partially, right? So maybe get a partial TP, stop out a break even, or maybe you just get a small loss to push into that second level, right? It's not just like you're going to know exactly where price is going to bounce every time. I think it's a big misconception with trading. It's like you think like one day you're going to get so good at trading that you're just going to know when it goes up and you're going to catch every single trade. If you are chasing that, I will be the first person to tell you you are chasing something that does not exist. You're always going to have to take some kind of a loss, miss a trade, or whatever it is. That is just the reality of trading. But you could just see here, like patience is key, right? It's not just like, hey, jump in right now, right? It's like, well, hey, if we come down there and we see the confirmations into those key levels, and only if we see those confirmations into the level, that's where I look to take the long position. And obviously, pretty beautiful to see that pop up. Almost perfect. Not even almost perfectly, right? 30-minute bull dips, lower lows, higher lows. Avoided all these early setups. To wait for the good one, only to miss it. But that's okay, right? It's just the reality. And that's why I like to share when I lose trades, when I miss trades, guys, it's the reality of trading. I don't just want to sit up here and be like, you're going to get rich overnight, guys. Like, get in my Discord, you're going to get rich overnight. You know, even if you see that setup, you could be ready. If you're not there to pull the trigger, right, you're going to miss the trade. But that's totally fine because there's going to be another setup to be had. All right, let's see. Bada boom. Shout out to Alpha Cry. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Says, JoJo on Solana is a hilarious meme. Dang, man. We get the pump and the meme coins are already getting chilled in the chat. Shout out to Alpha Cry. I don't know what JoJo is. I'm not like promoting this in any way, shape, or form. Meme coins are very dangerous. You can make a ton of money, but just be aware of meme coins. A very dangerous game. But yeah, shout out to that. I mean, listen, for your sake, I hope that it goes up. What is the meme? I would like to know. Shout out to Siberis. Shout out to you. I don't know if I said that right. Welcome to the Mafia. Thank you for getting that membership. And shout out to Zach. Thank you for the super chat. Says, thanks, Frankie. So we wait for your next target, then 124 to 137 to do a massive short. I see the bearish divs on the weekly are weak due to money flow. Hey, shout out to Zach. Were you the one that asked about that last week or last live stream? Someone was asking about the weekly bearish divergences. And again, you know, could that potentially continue us down? Maybe. But yeah, and I wouldn't say it's that simple, Zach, just to be as detailed and clear as possible. It's not like, again, like the way trading really works, right? It's never going to be, you know, it's never going to be, I'll actually pull up the targets that you're talking about because I know exactly what you're talking about here. I'll pull up the moon mission chart here. Bada boom, beautiful moon mission. So if we pull up a higher time frame here, obviously, guys, if we do get our next big leg up in the bull market like we covered before, if we do get that, right, like the next big targets, you know, 120K even is going to be like a first kind of level, psychological 120K even sitting right on this Fibonacci level. Get above that, right? You can look to push up into your 137K target. It's never going to be like as soon as this level hits, you take the short, right? It's always going to be like an if this, then that statement, just like I showed you in the Discord setup. And shout out to anybody who wants to join the Discord. There you go. That like breaks down what I do, right? I don't just tell you like, hey guys, buy now, sell here, stop loss right there. Like there's no way to do that in a legit manner, right? Like your stop loss is going to be based off your entry, your risk tolerance. You know, I just give my setups of what I like to see and the confirmations. And then, you know, based off where your entry is, you know, you'll have your stop loss set at a specific level, right? Based off, you know, honestly, like somewhat personal preference. But if we get the bigger breakout here, 120K to 137K is going to be that big level, but it's an if this, then that statement, right? If we push up to 120K, 130K, it's not like you're just going to short that to zero. If you get bearish confirmations, you could probably take a short position there, but depending on what the charts look like, right, you're not just going to instantly expect that to definitely be the top, right? Because, you know, if we get up there, right, maybe you get a little turbulence at 120K, flip above that, get a little turbulence at 137K, right, and then maybe you put a higher low, and you get a bigger breakout to the next target, right, which would be sitting between about 156 to 175K. I am not going to sit on my Bitcoin bag until we get up here to sell all my bags, right? But it's really going to depend. We don't know what price action is going to look like up here. But if we see macro bearish signals, right, we'll probably take some kind of a short position with local targets with a potential of turning into a bigger swing trade, right? Taking profits along the way, moving stop loss to break even, giving you a guaranteed winning trade. Because if price does put in a higher low and snap you out of your position, right, you're going to get stopped out in profit, in which case you could just maybe look for long positions on the way down, and then look for a new short position at the next resistance level. So, yeah, I would say like next big targets to the upside. I'll even give you some like maybe some more local targets as well. 120K would be like the next like big target. But if we pull from the local high to the low here, and we take a look at the Fibonacci extension levels, right, you do have some other local targets there as well. 115K, you could definitely play around in this resistance as well. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I would say long term, right, like the next big major target. If I zoom out here on the weekly time frame, you guys can see, right, target number one for the bull market was sitting between 91 and 102K. That is literally where we stalled out from, right? We deviated above a little bit, got the bull market correction. Now we're potentially looking to hold above that. So, and again, looking at that 101 and 102K level, right, that line in the sand for a bigger correction down towards, potentially $97,000, this is also the top of that macro fib. So, it would be nice to hold above that level as well. And this is the same level locally that we're looking at, but just incorporating this higher time frame level into that same price target, right, 102 to 101,000. So, yeah, I would say next big leg up could bring us into this purple box, right? Just, 120K to 137K. Doesn't mean instant short, though. So you just don't know what that information is going to look like up there. It might look super bullish, right? Maybe we push up to 175K and it looks like it's going to continue up. I'm not just going to short that because I think that'll be the top, right? If we see, signs for continuations, and it's going to be very confusing and messy. It's never going to be as simple as, coming up short, right? You got to look for those confirmations. And then even on the shorts, right, like you could have opportunities depending on price action and what market cipher B looks like. Maybe there's a higher low and a higher high to come, just like we had here, right? So yeah, shout out to Zach. But for the most part, those are going to be for sure going to be the next big targets. Locally, 115K to 120K might be like, more tangible for the short term. So there you go. All right, let's continue on here. Bada boom, bada bing. What is your opinion on the whale ratio sitting at a high point? Massive HMZs. Shout out to Genius. I don't trade based off that stuff. I'm not saying it's useless to look at, but for my trading, I don't really pay attention to a lot of that stuff, right? Like, it could be good for like longer term predictions, but just not something I really pay attention to. So I don't really have a strong opinion on it other than like, I don't really pay that much attention, right? Like, I don't really care. Like if we come down here and I see my technical confirmations, I don't really care. Like if there was some kind of like bearish, whale activity, it's like, you could take it into consideration, but like if the chart looks like it's going to go up, like I make my decisions based off the chart. So yeah, I wish I could give a better answer, but I just don't really have much of an opinion, to be honest. Let's see. Shout out to Alex. Said this reminds me of the legendary toe sucking incident. Total fake out. Shout out to Alex Wells. I don't know what toe-sucking incident you're talking about. Did you get on my feet finder somehow? Shout out to Alex. All right, let's see. We could deviate below the spider line too. Yeah, shout out to Dave. I mean, listen, like anytime you're looking at support and resistance, it's never going to be I'll tell you this from experience, right? Like when I first started learning how to trade, it's like, oh my God, big level of resistance, right? Like, and then, I think a lot of new traders, I at least thought this at the time, right? It's like, well, hey, if we hit that level, we're going to reject. Right? And then if you take a short off that level, you get a rejection. Oftentimes what will happen is you'll come up, you might kiss the level, and then you sweep the level, and then come back down underneath it. That's why more often than not, right, like even on this long setup from the Discord, right, it's always going to be a zone. We don't know if we're going to get the big bounce from the golden pocket or the 786. Sure, there's much more confluence down at the 786 PLC anchored VWAP, but you don't know. You could bounce at that level, but that's why I always look at support and resistance as a zone, right? And then if you get those bullish confirmations within the zone, well then, hey, you're in your zone, you have the bullish confirmations, and you don't have to worry as much of exactly what level you're going to reject or bounce off of, right? So yeah, it's always going to be a zone. I mean, you can see this like perfectly shown right here, right? Oh, spider line, key support, right? Like you lose it, you bearishly retest, put in a lower low, but then eventually, long term, right, you flip it to support and you continue up. So yeah, absolutely, you can fake out any support level, not just a spider line for sure. Yo, shout out to DK says, toe sucking. What kind of OF stuff is that? Shout out to DK. I don't know. I don't know. Feet happen to be a pretty big niche apparently. Not for me personally. But anyway, let's continue on here. Can I ask you to check out a specific stock. Shout out to Matan. Yeah, if you want to drop it in the chat, I'll try to take a look at it. But really, the point of this market update, guys, you would be watching a quick little market update pre-record on YouTube right now if I actually showed my chart throughout that entire 15-minute recording. But I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to re-record this. I'm just going to go live for the Mafia here and get that information up as fast as possible, right? Because things change very, very fast in the market, and I like to get it to you guys as fast as possible. Shout out to Dave Digital in the chat. What is going on? Shout out to Dave Digital, said Dutchy with the last-second LGS win yesterday. Shout out to Dave Digital. I actually hopped in there and tried to steal it, but it was too late, so Dutchy did get it. Let's see. Shout out to Nitro, said the fact that many think this is a fake out is actually bullish. Yeah, shout out to Nitro. Typically, whatever the masses say is typically, it's a good thing to pay attention to. But I'll be honest, we got a lot of people in here saying everyone's bullish, and then we also have a lot of people saying everyone's bearish. Fake outs in both directions. So who knows? Who knows? I would say that kind of that macro sentiment's kind of neutral right now. Can we take a look at the monthly? Shout out to TDK, absolutely. I assume you mean the monthly on Bitcoin. So, yeah, I mean, listen, monthly here on Bitcoin, you have your VWAP coming down, but you have to understand, right, like, this takes a lot of time to develop. These higher time frames are like cruise ships, right? They can't just spin on a dime, right? They take a long time. Or like a speedboat, you could be like, woo, like make those really, really fast turns, right? But a cruise ship has to be like, to turn around, right? You have to have those like big wide turns. This is very similar to how I look at money flow, right? Or VWAPs on a higher time frame, right? Like on a 5 minute, the VWAP goes up and down like crazy, right? But like here, it takes a long time, right? Like this VWAP right here, from crossover to crossover, right? I can't get it perfectly on the crossover there, but it's 120 days that VWAP takes to cross over, right? If you go down to like a 5 minute, these VWAPs stay below the zero line for 35 minutes, right? So, on the monthly time frame, sure. I mean, all I could take away from this is VWAP is curving to the downside, but there's a lot of time for this to potentially crack back to the upside, right? Because it takes a long time for that to develop. You could say red dot potentially incoming there. Not impossible, but yeah, I would just have to wait for a little bit more confirmation on that. Also, could you get a little monthly? Could you be printing a little bit of a monthly bear div here? Higher highs, lower highs, right? Yeah, potentially. But, it's kind of like the same thing that we had up here. You kind of have more equal highs up here, but a lot of people were looking at the monthly bear div here, which obviously did give us a drop to the downside. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean like absolutely down forever. So I would say there's not much to take away from here, to be quite honest, right? VWAP rolling over, that's all I would say, but, it could change at some point, right? Just going to take a long time. So shout out to TDK. That's kind of what I would pull off from the monthly. I mean, even if we look at the Heikinashi candles too, like VWAP also kind of curving to the downside. But again, kind of hard, at the end of the day, you could have it come down and then it comes back up. Even here, you got a fake out and a move back up. So we'll have to wait for that to develop a little bit more. But as of right now, I'd say VWAP curving down. Is it technically more bearish than bullish? Maybe. But again, it can change. Market Cipher A. Yeah, we can take a look at Market Cipher A. I'll pull up like the daily, right? We actually looked at this yesterday, looking for like high time frame blood diamonds and stuff like that. We don't really have any high time frame blood diamonds here on Market Cipher A. Nothing like that. You can see when you do get those high time frame blood diamonds. Where was that, on the 4 hour? Yeah, 4 hour blood diamond prints. Yellow X gives you the big drop down. This one kind of didn't really give you anything. It kind of front ran that move to the downside. But I don't really see many like big, like you say, a 12 hour blood diamond massive move down to the anchored VWAP. Blood diamond massive move down. Blood diamond total fake out, right? Blood diamond massive move down. Blood diamond massive move down. This just goes to show, right? Nothing's going to be 100%. This is why buy and sell indicators don't work, right? You could say, well, I'll just short every blood diamond, because when you look at it, it's like, well, hey, beautiful. Oh, wait, hang on, I got stopped out. But more often than not, right, like it does play out. That's like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 4 out of 5 times they give you a big move down. Not that I would just trade off of a blood diamond. I use these as like confluence, right? I like to look for more advanced things to look for the drops down. But if a blood diamond starts printing, it's like you start to feel pretty good about your short position. But I would say there's not really any kind of like massive signal on Market Cipher B on the higher time frames. So, yeah. Shout out to Dutchy, said it was actually accidental. LGS, I noticed the stream was still running when I wanted to set my alarm. Shout out to Dutchy. Let's go. Well, hey, bro, you got last goat standing. Let's get it. Shout out to Darren Does Things. Let's go. What is going on, bro? Mass consolidation, all-time high pump. Tease consolidation dump. Shout out to Genius. Which one will it be? Monthly money flow is thick AF. Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at money flow, right, like this is obviously massively in the green. I'll pull up a more history here. Yeah, I mean, you're thick in the green. Another thing we looked at yesterday was the weekly money flow, right? Someone asked me about the weekly bear div yesterday, and I was like, listen, you had the weekly bear div confirm on this red dot confirming, right? We get the last little break of the low, and then we get the bounce, and look at your weekly money flow coming back up. And we don't have a monthly bear div here printing, right? This is a green dot printing. If this unprints, you'll just still have that already existing weekly bear div. But this money flow coming up is a pretty good sign, right? Could this wind up being a lower high before crossing into the red? Maybe. But when it comes up like this, I don't know, guys. I'm sticking with my sentiment here. Like, again, like even a drop down to 97K or even 91 to 90K, it's like people are going to be like, what the heck? I thought we were bullish. And it's like, yes, right? Like when in doubt, zoom out, right? Like longer term bullish here. Hopefully we could just get the early breakout. That's kind of been the theme of the past streams recently is like, are we going to have to endure a little bit more pain long term, or are we just going to get that early breakout similar to what we saw on Coinbase, right? Where you get the little bull flag to just, kind of send it to the upside. That low looks good still. Even if we came down to the value area low and got another bounce, right? Like, and again, value area low I'm speaking of is this right here, right? Like, it's not like, even if we came down there, higher low, higher high is, was, at least at this point, was still an opportunity, right? It's not until we lose that where we look down to 97K. And then even then, it's like longer term bias doesn't really change, right? Just mean like a little bit more bing bonging around until you finally get that last little blow off. So hopefully we're here, guys. I can't say it's guaranteed, but hopefully we are going to see things start to move soon. But again, you're at resistance here, so just keep in mind, right? Yeah, the daily MPOC 786, definitely an area where you could look for a little bit of resistance. But if we could hold on top of this, especially on the weekly, starts to look very good. Once again, very similar to back here, right? And this is a perfect example of like, it's an if this, then that, right? It looks good for breakout, but not just because we broke the level, right? It's the long-term hold of that level on the weekly candle that you want to see. You don't get it? Taking the low is likely. Right? That's how we predict these moves. Not just, oh my God, we're pumping, we're bullish, right? Well, we're breaking above the 786, which is bullish, but we still need to see the weekly candle closure above, right? We get it below, break structure to the downside, right? So there you go. Let's see. XRP, yeah, I could take a quick look at XRP for you. Oh my God, this keeps happening. Let's take a quick look here. Whoops, wrong chart. Bada boom. Yeah, so XRP, not really much has changed here since we looked at this last. Deviate below the low, back into the value area, hold the low and golden pocket as support. You're looking for the continuation of the uptrend. You get the break structure to the upside. Next target to the upside for POC. Next target for the upside for XRP is still going to be between the golden pocket point of control, 236 all the way up to about 240. And again, let's see. I don't think you hit this golden pocket, but we could just go double check. Maybe you did. Yeah, and we looked at this on the live stream. Not yesterday, but I don't think we looked at XRP yesterday. But again, just like back here, let me change this setting to clean up the chart just a little bit. Just like back here, right? It's like, where are you looking for the higher low? You're looking at it at the golden pocket value area low confluence. So you're looking for the low, the higher low, which has a high probability of coming in between that golden pocket 786 zone. Right? You barely front run that golden pocket. You get the higher high. Break of structure to the upside. Low, high, higher low, higher high. If you're looking for a higher low and a higher high, where would you want to bounce? We looked at this on the live stream, right? Your pull from the higher low to the higher high. Golden pocket 786 sits between 216 and about 212. If you could hold above this, right, which you are getting a nice bounce from, you could potentially anticipate the break of structure to the upside into the point of control. Doesn't mean long right now. But if you were to look, just for example, if you were looking for a long here, right, you're not chasing the move to the POC. If it goes to the POC, if you're looking at it up here, you just got to wait for the POC or a correction down. And then on that correction down, you're looking for the higher low on your high probability area, right? So for a long position on XRP, it would have been had down here, right, on the push to the downside in anticipation of a potential higher low and higher high. Does it guarantee that you can't just nuke from here and crack down? No. But again, it's just a game of probability and knowing where to look for those bounces. So yeah, target to the upside, you're just bouncing off your local support. Bounce to the upside could lead you to 237 up to 240. Flip that to support. Next major target to the upside would be the value area high at 260, with the honorable mention of this 786 right here at about 249, 250, right? So yeah, other than that, not too much to update here on XRP, right? Daily, red dot, potentially coming in, right? VWAP trying to come down here, but, you're getting a little support. Let's check the weekly. Weekly green dot printing, not too bad. Let's check the 10-hour money flow. Yeah, I mean, if you get this 10-hour money flow crossover into the green with that weekly green dot, could be a good sign for a continuation overall as well. But again, even just within terms of your volume profile, get above the low, POC is next. Flip the POC, value area high. Kind of a similar situation that we're in right now. Deviate the low, get back in, flip the value area low to support, maybe POC is next, right? Never a guarantee, but, again, deviate from the high, look for a rejection back into your range, back to the POC, lose the POC. Next likely place for price to go is the value area low, right? Those deviations are where you're looking for the trades. Deviation above the high, that's expensive. You look to short it back into the range. Deviation below the low, that's cheap. You're looking to long it back into the range for the full fill of value. This is how price action moves, at least within a range, right? And then once you imbalance out of that range, you would target previous areas of value, which you don't really have much up here. I would say the last area of value I would look at to the upside for XRP would maybe be up here. It's a little bit of a wonky profile, but again, it's just right on your next level of resistance anyway. So if we impulse out of this range, let's say we kind of bing bong around, you get back up to the value area high, and then you moon out of here, you get the imbalance, right? Balance is within the profile, and then the imbalance is on the impulse to the upside. When you have imbalance, you seek out fair value, right? So if you start pushing up here, price is naturally going to gravitate toward that previous value area, which is, again, right on your next Fibonacci extension levels. So if you get the bigger breakout, next target to the upside for me would be potentially up to about 352. Once you break above that, maybe we can start hitting some of these bigger macro targets between 415, 453. Break above that, we're looking at about 540, 554. And then once you start breaking above that, you can start looking at the higher targets. I can't guarantee that XRP is going all the way to $15, but the target is there. We have to assess price action as it pushes into the levels. And, even on XRP, we've talked a lot about how it likes to move, right? XRP loves to kind of bull pennant out and create these massive long ranges, and even the short-term ranges, right? Massive move up, bullish consolidation, big move up, bullish consolidation, big move up. And then sometimes you get stuck in these massively long ranges where it just kind of like coils up forever. And I don't remember exactly where we pulled this from, but if you pull it from a high time frame, I think it was sometime in 2017. Yeah, looking very similar to this kind of fractal here, right? You get your big move up, and then you get that massive, massive, massive consolidation range looking very, very similar to what we have right here. Obviously, you're going to have to resize it a little bit, right? Not that you're just going to expect this to play out exactly as it has in the past, but just looking at the general kind of, pattern, right? Like you kind of just get the, that like long consolidation range, right? And, again, not that I would expect it to play out exactly like this, but you can kind of see, right? Like, who knows, right? You can get a bounce back to the value area high, get another rotation to the low, and then you get the moonshot, right? It's impossible to call exactly how that will look, right? All you could do is look at money flow, look for the confluence, and then try to, getting a scam call right now, try to, anticipate around when that breakout could happen. But you could just see, right? Like typically when you get stuck in these long-term ranges, typically they do end in massive, like when it starts to move, it really starts to move, right? So, if we come through all these levels, no reactions, it's like, well, hey, you can just keep looking up towards the next target. Once you start hitting them with massive bearish confirmations, this is kind of weird that this wound up topping up right at that last target. But, if you get up to a massive high target, you look for the bearish divergences on the higher time frames, money flow, you reassess the situation and try to figure out, is that the top or not? But at the end of the day, the top could come in at any of these levels. It's an if this, then that statement. You have to see what price action looks like inside the zone. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to All Set, said you got to know your instruments and your behaviors. Absolutely. Shout out to All Set, right? Not all assets move exactly the same. And for whatever reason, XRP just loves those long-term ranges. And like even on the shorter time frames, right? Like if I go down to like an 80-minute, say, and we come all the way back, right? Like even here, right? Like price action is fractal, right? I know this is obviously a shorter term range, but it's like kind of the same thing, right? If I had that same fractal still, you just come in here and it likes to coil up like this for a long time before, boom, a massive explosion to the upside. So there you go. Shout out to Zach, said, are you up for a challenge? Thank you for the super chat, Zach. I appreciate you. Says, if you would have to choose, what would be your next winning trade, long or short, and price? Like a future prediction. I'll tell you this, right? For just like a random up or down prediction, I always say this is like, it's just not how price action moves. I don't know if you mean for XRP or for Bitcoin. So yeah, like I would put like less weight on this because here's the thing, right? I would say like, hey, We're seeing a similar fractal. We're at that point in the cycle. Again, looking at the macro, looking at other markets, looking at the macroeconomics, potential rate cuts coming in. I would say we are in an environment where we could easily see this consolidation break to the upside, right? But if we got up into our first target here and things look super bearish, right? In that case, it's like maybe it's just more of like a double top, right? So, is there a high chance of this eventually getting a bigger breakout into the new all-time highs? Yes, but it can change very fast, right? So I would just say like up or down, right? Ignoring like all the low time frame noise, right? I would say the big move up here is getting more and more likely as price action develops, especially with Bitcoin starting to approach its highs as well. And again, if we get rate cuts, like increases that chance very, very likely, right? But if we have FOMC and like they don't cut rates for whatever reason, right? That can change things so quickly. And that's why I don't really like to just make like arbitrary up or down predictions, because that's just not how price works. It's not to protect myself to be right all the time. Heck, I will be the first person to tell you if something that we look for does not happen, right? We looked at this earlier, right? We had the lower high Fibonacci retracement here with the 90-minute money flow coming out, which was an opportunity to put in a lower high and a lower low, right? But it's not like a guaranteed, right? Like you would say, well, hey, if you put the lower high in here, right, then the lower low is likely. But if you get up there and you flip it to support, it's a different scenario, right? So just saying up or down is just not how price action works. But hey, you can look for the lower high here. We didn't get it. And you had money flow going with you as well, right? 90-minute money flow crossover into the red, right? That lower high here could have been very likely. But it's never a guarantee. And that's why like just saying up or down is, it's always going to be more of a gamble to just pick up or down. It's just because it's not how price action works, right? We're not right 100% of the time. But that's why I never present any of my predictions or any of my, any of my predictions on what price is going to do is never 100%. Like I'm never going to come up here and tell you guys, when you get up here, you have to short because it's 100% going to go down. Like if you think it's going up, you're an idiot. I have been doing this long enough to understand that even if you had all the signals up here, you flip that to support. I mean, that's new information you have to take into account. But I would say for XRP there, like I think eventually, is this going to go into a massive bear market? I would think this is much less likely. So if I had to make a random guess here, up or down, I would say up, regardless of like any internal noise you get here, right? Just based off history, just based off of what we're seeing on the cycle, just based off, macroeconomics, etc. If things change, then that would obviously change, but I would say up. On Bitcoin, I would be very very similar, right? Higher lows and higher highs. We wound up getting it on the first zone, even if we came down here. So I would say, again, it's could we reject this resistance and come down? Yes, but I think overall, long term, my sentiment remains exactly the same. For example, if I pull up a high time frame here, take off that local volume profile real quick. Daily MPOCs, clean that up, right? Like at the end of the day, right? I would say even if you come on down to the POC, right? Like still, I would lean more towards this happening, right? And hopefully getting the breakout. Right. But I would never just trade off. Like if I think there's a high chance of a breakout here, like I would never just like long a giant green candle. Could you do it? Could you make money? Yes. But it's just not how you're not going to be able to make money long term like that. You're going to get lucky once in a while. But yeah, shout out to Zach. So I would say, yeah, still just definitely my preferred move, 50-50 up or down would be up, right? As long as you understand that like separates like, a move to 97K would be looked at based off my long-term sentiment. That would be like a short-term correction before continuing up. So I would say up still. So yeah, there you go. Not financial advice, not to just long right now or buy spot bags right now, right? As always, I could be wrong. Let's see. I'm on a lower high too. I need a break at work to fix that though. Shout out to Gig Long Bottom. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Power through, baby. Power through. Shout out to Jeff said, I remember people panicking the same way at 8K on Bitcoin. I don't know if you mean people panicking in the 2022 bear market for 8K to come in. I don't know exactly what you mean. Shout out to Kalia said, if you scrub back, Frankie said to full port 100x, make sure to use coupon code to save on fees. Shout out to Kalia. Let's see. Bada boom. Everybody long 200x. No, don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, heck, do it if you want, right? We're all adults. You can do whatever you want. Shout out to Zach. Thank you for the super sticker, bro. I appreciate you so much, man. But yeah, guys, these are my overall thoughts on Bitcoin. I don't really want to cover, I don't want to yap here too long just because we do have a live stream at 5:45. We need something to talk about there. But I just wanted to jump in here and give you guys that update on what we saw happen here. 15-minute money flow crossover with the 4-hour green dot indeed started the bigger move up. Lower high got invalidated, flipping that 786 to support. When I say those 786s are doorways to higher prices, we do not just say that, again, because we're just randomly bullish, right? It's like, hey, you're invalidating the idea of the continuation of that uptrend, right? And you flip that to support, that greatly increases the chances to move to the upside. And Market Cipher B makes it very easy to visibly see that on the chart, right? You have your 4-hour green dot. I even went back into bar replay mode. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. Someone asked me, I think it was yesterday, someone asked me about the this exact setup, right? They were saying if the 4-hour and 15-minute money flow crossover happens, what time frame are you looking at for money flow, right? And the simple answer to that question, right? You come, and it's not just this, right? It's coming into the key level of support that we looked at forever, right? Not forever, but, for a while. You're just simply being patient, waiting for the key level to get hit. And then as you have that 4-hour green dot looking to print, this is what we were looking at, right? Is this going to print it? Okay. So you had the VWAP coming up last night, and it's like, well, hey, if you're going to get a move up from here, that 4-hour green dot printing, if that prints, right, the thing to look for is that 15-minute money flow crossover into the green. Once that 15-minute money flow crosses over into the green, that is where you are very likely going to see that continuation up. You can see the money flow is in the red. You get the push back down. You put in the bullish divergence on the 30-minute and the 15-minute as well. 15-minute, you get above the anchored VWAP. 15-minute money flow crosses into the green right here. At that point, you're looking for the continuation up to the next target at 107 to 107.3. Money flow crosses over into the green. Trend continues up. And then at that point, you're looking for a potential lower high. But if you flip it, you're looking for the bigger push to the upside. Flip that 786 to support, and you get the bigger breakout. Right? And we also had the value area high up there as well. But again, the lower high, this would be, flipping that is just bullish, right? You only have the value area high in the 786 above you. Bada boom. You look for that bigger push to the upside. Into your next target, which obviously was sitting up at 109,500. Between 109,000 and 109,500. So, if you have not watched the tutorial video on this on the Market Cipher B116 strategy, check out the beginner series. It lives on the channel. It's 100% free. I go in detail. I think I even show like a live trade that I took based off that. Not just based off that, but using this as a directional confluence. So go check that out if you want to learn about this setup. If this explanation was not enough for you, you can go watch that a little bit more in detail. Let's see. Shout out to Jeff Gates says, I stack silver. Bitcoin is me gambling. Hey, shout out to Jeff Gates. That's not bad in my opinion. They said back when it was 8K, it would just go sideways and down, and now my 8K investment has went moonshot from my point of view. Shout out to Jeff. If you're talking about owning Bitcoin at 8K, I think moonshot's an understatement. That's a massive gain. But yeah, again, when the masses are all calling for one thing, typically the opposite happens. They are right once in a while. But I will say, based off chat here, I would say masses are, it's kind of 50-50. A lot of people saying it's a fake out. A lot of people saying that we're about to break out, right? It's a little different, right? It's a little bit different than when we were down at like $75,000, right? When we were down at $75,000, it was like a majority of people were calling for the bear market, right? It's like down here, I think it was like some of the worst sentiment I've ever seen not being in a bear market, right? You come down to 75K and everyone's like, oh my God, it's the bear market, right? And they feel very decisive. They're like, you're an idiot if you think it's going up, right? That's typically what you see at lows, right? But here, I would say it's kind of split, right? I don't really know what all the masses are doing right now, but like based on chat, I've seen a bunch of chat saying it's a fake out to the upside. Seen a lot of people looking for the breakout. So I would say using that as like a gauge is a little harder to do at this moment. But yeah. 126 is my guess by the end of July. Shout out to Jeff. Hey, if we get early rate cuts in July, that would be crazy. Or maybe even if Powell is more dovish, right? Like that could start the early move up to the rate cuts as well. Wake me up at 500K. Shout out to Dutchy. Hey, like I said, guys, I have a much higher time frame view, at least on my Bitcoin, right? Like I know it's a lot easier for, I'm in down here at between 20 and 21K, right? So like these pullbacks are much easier for someone like me to stomach, or anyone else holding it down here, right? But when people see a massive move up, this is where the masses come in. right? They see, oh my God, Bitcoin's breaking a new all-time high. I guess it's time to buy, right? They buy the top, they get spooked out of the market. And then, for me, it's like, this is why it's so easy for me to say, like, when people ask me, Frankie, is this the bear market? It's so easy for me to say, like, no, why would you think this is the bear market? But when you think about it from the perspective of a new trader, right, or someone who just got into crypto and making it's kind of like a rite of passage. If you've done this, don't feel bad about it, right? Like, everybody has to go through this in crypto at some point, right? They hear it makes a new all-time high. They think it's just getting started. They buy the top. But if you think about it from a beginner trader that gets in at the top with the masses, this could feel like a bear market to them, right? But like from someone who understands the cycle, this is my third crypto cycle, this pullback is nothing in the context of a bull market. This is very common to see 30, 35% corrections in a bull market to put in higher lows and higher highs macro, right? Same thing here. Everyone's super scared. Oh my God, this is the bear market. It's a little easier for me to stomach, right? Because when you have an entry down here, you're not in the red, right? You're still massively in profit. So, take that for account too. So, and even if you are in from a high, right? Like maybe you got in here, right? And now you're like getting close to break even. Maybe you're a little bit in profit. If you're in that position, just understand that for the next cycle to come around. And just remember that lesson that you can learn from this cycle, making a mistake, and then just try not to make it next cycle, right? If you have a massive bearish news, it feels like it's never going to go back up. Typically, that's where you're going to want to be looking to buy the lows, right? And again, it's not just that, right? We look at the charts. Obviously, one of the big things that we looked at back at the bear market of 2022 was a weekly bullish divergence. I was specifically looking for this to form at between 12 and 14K. We got the weekly bull div at $15,455, right? So you can never get it to the dollar, or sometimes you will. But again, you start seeing that weekly bull div print, right? Even if you don't get the low perfectly, right? I was expecting 14 to 12K, right? Maybe coming in over here. But at this point, right, you see that weekly bull div confirm, green dot prints. You start getting a push to the upside. That green dot confirms, and it's like, all right, well, we just put in a massive weekly bullish divergence. It typically is a very long-term bullish sign, just like the weekly bearish divergence, right? It's not every bear div, but specifically here, you have the weekly bearish divergence that called for the top, right? And again, it's not just any weekly bear div, right? It was many other things as well. But you start to see that, and you're like, hey, weekly bull div confirmed. Bottom could be in here, right? And then what happens? Off into the bull market, right? For me personally, to accumulate, if you're new here, if you don't use Market Cipher, this is what I like to use for accumulation in the bear markets, right? You get the big drop to the downside, right? Money flow crossover into the red. This is typically, I wait for the first big drop down. Money flow crosses over. You get the first big drop. This is where you want a dollar cost average. Yes, I buy on the way up, right? Buy a little bit, buy a little bit, buy a little bit. Comes back down, buy a little bit, buy a little bit, buy a little bit. Back up, buy a little bit. Back down, buy a little bit, buy a little bit, buy a little bit, right? To get that nice average entry point. I stopped buying I think right about here, right? And you get that nice average entry cost at the low, right? You don't have to snipe the bottom. I'm not waiting to the bottom, right? As well as we can read these charts, I am never just sitting on my hands waiting for that exact number to get hit and then dumping in my bottom at the tippy bottom, right? This is a very dangerous game to play because if you miss the bottom, you're going to be like, no, wait, it'll come back down. Oh, no, wait, it's coming back down. Oh, wait, no, it's going to come. And then you wind up just buying on the way up, which is not what you want to do. So, yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come into another bear market, and we'll be able to see those signs just like we did in 2022. So there we go. Shout out to R3DB, says, how do you determine on where to draw your volume profiles? Check the beginner series on the YouTube channel. I have a volume profile tutorial. I show you exactly where to pull them from, and not only that, but exactly how I like to trade them and why they work so well to predict these moves on Bitcoin and honestly any asset that you look at, right? We use this on the SPY. We come out of bar replay mode real quick. We looked at this on the SPY as well. I'll pull it up on this chart because I actually have the TA drawn, right? When we were getting the massive drops to the downside, not only on Bitcoin, but also the oh, no, it was over here. Not only on Bitcoin, but also other markets as well. You say to yourself, well, hey, if we are going to continue to get this hard bounce, where's that next area of value? It was sitting right here within the volume profile. Once you get back into that range and flip the value area low to support, POC is likely. Hold the POC, go into the value area high, and now we've broken out of that value area high and put in a new all-time high, which, again, could be good for Bitcoin, right? Same thing on the NQ, right? We looked at this as well. Same exact thing. Right? Flip the value area low to support, POC, value area high, back to the low, back to the POC, back to the high. You bing bong around a little bit, you get the breakout, new all-time highs. So there you go. I think NVIDIA, too, I don't really look at a lot of stocks, but even NVIDIA, we had the same thing. Maybe that is over here. There was one of them over here. Yeah, there you go, right? Same thing. It's like, well, hey, if you get back into that range, flip the value area low, POC is the next likely target. Flip the POC, value area high is the next likely target. And here we are into new all-time highs. The rotation of the volume profiles is one of the most goated ways to look at the chart, in my opinion. Not only for direction, right? It's like, well, hey, if we continue impulsing, you're going to get sucked up generally towards this big area of balance. These value areas act as a magnet, especially the POC, right? So not only can you use it for direction, like, hey, next major target's going to be up here. Once you get in there, you can look for it to rotate the entire range. And when you start ranging, the best part is when you're actually inside of the range. It's like, hey, value area low to the POC, value area high, deviate above, back to the POC. You don't always get the full rotation. Obviously, nothing is 100% as high probability as the ranges are. But, specifically on Bitcoin, right, like we trade the heck out of these volume profiles. Anytime, like especially up here, right, not only does it help you understand like longer term direction, for example, when you bounce from 75K, it's like, well, hey, where are we going to be looking for price to go? Well, where's the next value area? This is balance. This is imbalance. Imbalance, balance. Balance is the range. Imbalance is the trend or the impulse, right? So when you start in, and then what happens? You create another little range down here, right? So once you start imbalancing out of this range, it's like, well, hey, where's price going to gravitate to? When price enters imbalance or an impulse or just a trend for a simpler term, it is going to seek out fair value more often than not. So that is where we pull our volume profiles and say, hey, if price continues up here, what's going to happen? We're probably going to get sucked up towards this value area low, which is resistance until proven otherwise. But once you flip that to support, the next likely place for price to go is the point of control. What happens? We go right into that point of control where you do get a little bit of resistance, but once you flip it to support, you look to go to the value area high for the full fill of the range. Same thing here, same thing here. And these pop up on all different time frames. You can pull this on a 5-minute, a 3-minute, a 2-minute, anywhere, right? If I come back down to like, say, even a 4-hour, right? You can even trade these local ranges, right? You have a little bit of balance up here. You're looking at your volume profiles, right? And it does develop over time. It's not always going to look exactly like this, when these candles are not here. But deviate below the low, back into the range, POC value area high. You can pull it up on a 5-minute time frame, right? Go back and back test this, right? Don't take my word for it. It's just go to a random point on the chart on the 5-minute, right? Try to find like a nice little clean range, like right here, right? You'll notice, and it's not just in hindsight, right? Like as these ranges are developing, right, it will give you these signs, right? Deviate below the low, get back in, reclaim. This is kind of wonky with the POC all the way up there, but you reclaim. I would say that's weird. I don't know why. I don't know if a bar replay mode thing. A ton of volume up here for some reason. But anyway, you deviate below the low. Resistance until proven otherwise. You flip it. Sure, you play around a little bit, but you do get that full rotation. Deviate above the high. This is expensive. This is cheap. Longs, shorts. If you get bearish confirmations up here, it's never just going to be like once you hit the level, you look to short, right? Because eventually you're going to break down. But deviate above the high. This is expensive. Get sucked back into the range. Reject. Typically, the POC is in the middle somewhere, right? So you go to the POC, then the value area low. In this case, these are super tight, so you just go straight to the value area low. You come down. I mean, I could even see the confirmations here, right? Lower lows, as you deviate below, you're already looking for longs down here. Do you have a reason to look for a bounce? Well, you do have one of the simplest confirmations, which is a bullish divergence. You get back into the range, hold the value area low, POC value area high, right? And again, this is a wonky range. I don't know why the POC is not in the middle there. But, you can find these all over the chart. Go back and back test them, right? Or just watch the live stream. We look at these every day as well. But yeah, that's how and price ranges 80% of the time, right? So it's like not only does it give you high probability macro targets, but also it gives you many trading opportunities within the local ranges, which is 80% of price action anyway, right? So it gives you like a ton of possibilities to actually take trades, right? And high probability trades at that. Right? Even this volume profile, locally, right? Like current example, right? We cover this every day. Go to the low, deviation below, look for the bullish confirmations, back into the range, POC, you stall out a little bit, back to the high. Deviation, if you can find bearish confirmations, once you get accepted back into the value area high, next likely place for price to go is the POC, value area low. POC, value area high, deviation, POC, value area low. Deviation. This was on Monday, last week, this was the key level of support. I don't know if the title said something like this, but like this is the level we need to break for a continuation up. Why? Because it's a value area low. Break above the value area low. We're looking to go to the POC value area high. I don't want to share too many secrets here, guys. I don't want to share too many secrets. But, again, it's never going to be as easy. You have to know where to look for the confirmations. Honorable mention, if you want to check out my indicator, which is 100% free, no email, no garbage, no nothing, in collaboration with Lux Algo, totally free. Type in my name into TradingView, Frankie Candles Essentials. If you can't get a volume profile on your TradingView account for some reason, come use Frankie Candles Essentials. This is literally just a volume profile that Lux Algo designed with us, or they designed it. I just told them what I wanted to do to it. But again, you can get this on your chart right this second. Same thing. Select that range. And again, watch this tutorial to get a little bit more in detail. The heck just happened? Huh. Let's try that again. There we go. I was going to say, what the heck is going on here? Not the best range to pull. Oh, there we go. I was going to say, am I in bar replay mode? I am. Sometimes that makes the volume profiles a little wonky. Let's pull up a higher time frame. Bada boom. All right, I'm going to re-pull that because I don't know where that is, if I'm being totally honest with you guys. There we go, right? So you just pull the volume profile in the same way, right? You're just looking at the area of balance. And again, there is a little bit of nuance into where to pull these from. But again, watch that video. But same thing, right? This lets you know. This is like a volume profile on steroids, right? It has a little bit of extra sauce here, noted by those sauce cans. But, basically what it's looking for here is I'm going to use, I like to use Market Cipher B for my oscillator for my divergences. So I am going to come here. I'm going to select Market Cipher B. Right, so now it's going to mark out divergences on Market Cipher B, right? So depending on the time frame or range that you're looking at, right, this is going to be another kind of simple thing if you don't have Market Cipher B is to just look at the wave trend or the RSI divs as well. This would just be like simple. Probably RSI is going to be good. But, this will let you know when you're getting at least bearish divergences. It lets you know when you're getting those confirmations. That's what these sauce cans indicate. It indicates that you're getting a bearish confirmation, at least to the upside, when you're in the area to look for bearish confirmations. It's not going to mark out divs and give you the signal when you're inside the range, right? Because if you get a signal here, it's like bearish divergence at the POC. Sure, you can get a pullback, but the overall anticipation is to come up to that value area high. So this will kind of filter out where you should be looking for confirmations at. And you can see here, you deviate above the high. You got higher highs on your price action, lower highs on your momentum waves. You get the sauce can emoji. No, you cannot just trade these as random buy or sell signals. Even my indicator, I will tell you, you cannot do that. That's just not how trading works. But you get the bearish divergence, sauce can prints, letting you know that you're getting bearish confirmations above a volume profile, right? This is a potential short opportunity. Push down, key level, as obviously the value area high is key support, but eventually you're looking to at least get a move into the range, back down to the POC, and then you could see we faked out the POC, came back up, another bearish divergence, back in, POC, and then you finally get the full fill of the range, right? So it's never, nothing's ever going to be 100% probability, but, just to show one more example of that. And again, I show this because it's 100% free, no strings. It's like not even like a weird, I hate to like scammy, like, it's free, just give us all your information first. No, just search it on TradingView. It's totally free. Shout out to Lux Algo for doing this. It's, the Mafia absolutely loves this indicator. Just pull your volume profile. And again, there is nuance there. There you go. And I'm just pulling random ranges here, right? Bearish divergence, back into the range, back to the POC, lose the POC, back down to the low, right? And again, context, you can't just like use these as buy and sell indicators, right? You come back down to the value area low, back in, there was no divergence here, so no signal, but then you lose the range, and you can see you're putting in bullish divergences here below the value area low. But why would this not necessarily be the best setup? Well, because just because you're getting these bull divs below a value area low does not mean that you have to come back into the range, because context is always going to be king. And if I just look here, 4-hour money flow has crossed over into the red, right? So I would be looking at this, for example, I'm not going to lie, I probably did take this trade. I can't guarantee that, but, just with the setup here, I can almost guarantee we actually took this trade. But, I would be looking at this at first as an entry on that bearish divergence, push down to the value area high. Once I get accepted in, I'm saying, well, hey, I'm probably going down to the POC. That's the next highest probability area to go to. And then eventually, I could look for the full fill of the range. At that point, I am typically taking a take profit 1 at the POC and a take profit 2 at the value area low. And then as I'm looking at the chart, right, this is like a live walkthrough of how I would analyze this. Would I be looking to close the whole trade here? here, I could. It would be a nice trade, a nice 6% move, not too bad, right? But if I wanted to see if I could hold this winner for extra gains and turn this little, shorter term trade into a massive swing trade, I would be looking at context, right? 4-hour money flows crossing into the red. What does that mean? It means that the trend here on the 4 hour is much more likely to put in lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? So at that point, I would say, hey, I wouldn't be looking at these bull divs as like very strong levels, right? Or very strong signals, right? I would more likely be holding my short position for some extra gains, right? Risk-free. Stop loss at break even or, very likely in profit at that point. And then just looking for that money flow to continue dragging me down, turning that 6% trade into a massive, if you held it all the way, there's no guarantee that you're just going to hold it all the way down. But, if you did, right, it turns that nice little 6% move into a 25% move. And by understanding money flow, and then we started coming back up. And look what happened. Money flow came into the green, indicating the continuation up was more likely, right? So at that point, even if you closed it here, let's say you held it, and then you start seeing your 4-hour money flow cross back into the green, you're saying, well, hey, let me close that trade, right? And if you close on that 4-hour money flow crossover, it turned the 6% move into a 20% move, right? And then you could maybe look for longs down there, et cetera, right? I'm not going to pull up every single trade an example, but money flow crosses into the green, indicating the continuation up is likely. Higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. There you go, right? Totally free. Totally free. Again, not a buy and sell indicator. Now, you can't just trade the sauce cans, right? Because you would have longed here. Hey, it would have played out, but you would have had to take profit before coming back down. Hey, you got the bounce, but again, the context trumps that, right? Sure, the bull div gives you the bounce. Sure, the bull div gives you the bounce, but those bounces would be looked at as lackluster retracements for lower highs and lower lows. Lackluster retracement, lower high, lower low. Lackluster retracement, lower high, lower low. There you go. So bada boom. Trying to give away as much free value as possible, guys. So there we go. I don't want to go, 1.5 hours till the next show. Yeah, shout out to Jesse, guys. I got to hop out of here. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully this market update helped you out. I'll see you guys in a few minutes here on the 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live stream. Let us know if you guys like this earlier live stream on the exciting price action, and we'll keep them coming if Bitcoin doesn't decide to go back into a sideways range for months. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully we get a move so we have something else to talk about. But yeah, that's all I got. Hasta pasta. Smash that like button on your way out if you appreciate the free content, free education, and free TA every single day. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the